let's keep moving on here. Let's go to my next pick here. It's the Milwaukee Bucks.
Oh man.
Um, Giannis, of course, putting up MVP numbers, playing his heart out, but they had that slow start where they were 2-8 to start the season, and kind of similar to the Sixers. It was like, what the hell's going on? This could be over by Christmas. It can be over by January. It's looking rough right now. But they've been able to turn it around, able to go, 8-3 in their last, to be above 500 now, 12-11. The NBA Cup tournament seemed to help them get on the right track. So they have another game against Orlando, who recently lost Franz Wagner, is already out with Paulo Banchero, which is unfortunate for that team that's been playing tremendously this season under Jamal Mosley for Orlando. But to the Bucks and their early struggles, at some point, these guys just got to play better. This is it. There's no way to improve the team. Like, I put it on the players at that point in time early in the season. I'm like, these guys got to figure it out. And they got a soft spot in their schedule to turn it around and be above 500, man. But what are you thinking about the Bucks? They were talking about Giannis maybe potentially axing out. Maybe they move on from Dame. Maybe they move on from Lopez. Chris Middleton's recently come back, who was hurt. And all this stuff and confusion. And people are like, this is another Dark Rivers team that is failing to meet expectations. But what are your thoughts on the Bucks?
Yeah, then they've been overall been disappointing too as well, starting off this, especially with their start to the season. But at the same time, while they've been disappointing, it's not really too shocking considering where they are as a franchise in terms of like the age. Like, outside of Giannis, that core is relatively old. Dame's like 34, Middleton 33, 34. I think Brooks like 35. Middleton
36.
obviously got 36, maybe even, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then Middleton got all these, dealing with these injuries over the last couple of seasons and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So this team is just like not really like. And then of course like all that who they bring in this year again, Torian Prince, and they signed was it Grant?
Gary Trent Jr.
Sorry, Gary Trent Jr. and Torian Prince. So that's what you did when you're trying to, like, when you got Giannis on your team, you have aspiration. That's the best you can do. But eventually, well, obviously it is because they really don't have any assets anymore. Training for Jake Crowder, and then looking to move on from Drew and get Dame. They really don't have any assets. And I think that they're in a tough spot, man. I'm not going to kill Doc too much just because of that roster per se. And the fact that Middleton wasn't available. But even with Middleton being back now, I mean, going against like a Boston, like, you can't really ask him to defend JT or JB in a best of 7 series. Like, he's gonna this version of Chris Middleton is gonna get cooked. Not because he's up there in age now and the ankles problems he has, just to have that lateral quick as they used to. So it's gonna be that's a really bad matchup. And then of course we know about when they wanted to get rid of Dame, when they liked to take on Dame, they knew what they were getting. Yes, you were getting a guy who can hit some difficult shots, Dame time, Mr. Fourth Quarter, but at the same time, he is not Drew Holiday on defense. He's a big liability. He's a turnstile, probably one of the greatest turnstiles of all time that they have now, and that puts more pressure on the likes of Giannis and Brook Lopez to make up for that deficiency that Dame has on defense and try to cover more ground on that side of the ball. So. Yeah, but they are playing great. They are playing a lot better now. Giannis looking like Superman. So
currently averaging 32,
at best top 5 in the East. I would think at best top 5, maybe 4, but I think they'll probably be like a second round exit at best.
Yeah, I mean, and Damian Lillard has picked up his play as well. He's averaging 25, 7, and 4. So he's picking up his play on 45 and 37 splits. Giannis is playing at an MVP level, 32, 11, and 6. So they're getting the production out of those guys now. It's just the rest of the roster. They're relying on guys like AJ Green and Pat Connaughton who haven't panned out. A lot of these guys just aren't, as Charles Barkley says on TNT, Jags, just another guy. Just another guy. And it's just unfortunate. It's kind of similar to what Joker's going through in Denver, where it's like, you have these star players, they're spending the money, but then the rest of the roster is not up to snuff to compete on a night-to-night basis against these teams with more depth and more versatility. So it's definitely that's where I was just like, it's got to be the Bucks. It's got to be Giannis. It's got to be Dame. They just have to play better and give out all-out effort. And if it's not enough, then you got to live with that. But right now, it's just like they were struggling. They were complaining to the media. Things weren't looking good, but they've been able to turn it around so far. This season.
But granted, too, a lot of this, Giannis has to own some of this too, because he's the one who pushed for Dame to be traded there. They get
This is
Dame.
something that
Drew gets released from Portland, ends up in Boston. Now the Boston look like virtually unbeatable. So you kind of a blunder right there. I think if they can go back, I think that they should have probably tried to upgrade at Middleton's position. But I don't know like what type of value Middleton would have at that point of his career. Unlike Dame, unlike Drew, who had value. So I don't know. But I think they should have probably tried to upgrade that spot as opposed to getting rid of Drew, just because of what he means so much on defense and seeing how bad they are on that at that initial point of the team right now. And then of course he didn't want Nick Nurse. He wanted Adrian Griffin. Griffin was up like 32 and 10 or something like that, 33 and 10 when he got fired. We all know Giannis has something to do with that. There's no way they would fire him if Giannis wanted Adrian Griffin there. So they don't do that. Now they bring in Doc. He's kind of giving the LeBron vibes of like, you know, trying to have all this power over ownership, have power over an organization, holding the team hostage. I can see him electing to be traded if he doesn't want to. If he doesn't see any improvements going on in the organization, but at the same time, they really like
try to do everything.
So how the hell are they gonna improve? I don't know.
Never.
Maybe they can, but I don't see it happen in the foreseeable future. I just can't see it.
That's the thing with the Bucks, and I'm just like, yo, like they've tried to do everything to help Giannis and do everything he said. They got a new coach. They fired a coach on his behalf. They brought in Dame. They got rid of Drew, who was a staple of the championship team. And it's just like, yo, they're doing all the things you're saying, and you're not bringing anybody. You brought your brother on multiple times for the team. It's like there's all these things that are adding up, kind of like a LeBron situation where it's like they're giving you everything they want right now. Fortunately, unlike when LeBron was in Cleveland, the first stint, they didn't win a championship. They didn't get close enough after the first finals appearance. You got a championship. You're getting everything you want. They've maximized what you've asked for. They got Damian Lillard. They paid the cost. Now you have to step up. That's where I was kind of saying, yo, it's kind of got to be on Giannis to propel this team up to the next level. Like, yo, it's on you now. It's you and Dame. This is what you asked for. You kind of got to take it on. But no, they're playing better. They're getting better. We'll see what happens with the developments of their bench, because I think that's the main concern, and seeing who can step up. Doc Rivers doesn't usually like playing the young guys, but he is playing a guy, AJ Green, and stuff like that. So we'll see what they can do. Heading up,
he's playing because he has no choice. I mean,
pretty much. Pretty much, because you know Doc Rivers is a stickler ever since Boston. He doesn't like playing them young guys. He does not. He did play Avery Bradley and stuff like that, but he does not play. He's kind of like a Tibbs. He doesn't like playing those young guys to come in. And now these guys are kind of changing because they have to. It's based on survival, right?